Daytona International Speedway plays host to many different divisions during speed weeks, all requiring meticulous preparation in the search for speed. Qualifying determines who starts where, who makes it, and who doesn't, and ultimately who's the fastest. The NASCAR Goodies Dash Series brings together the young drivers and the young at heart, all fulfilling a dream of competing at Daytona. Today, one is about to fulfill another dream of being in victory lane. ESPN, the worldwide leader in motorsports coverage, welcomes you live to Daytona International Speedway and the Discount Auto Parts 200 for the NASCAR Goodies Dash Series. Partly cloudy skies greet us this morning. The drivers are set. We've got a great field of cars ready to go, and Dr. Jerry Punch is on the front row.
Thank you very much, Bob, and hello, everyone. You know, last year, Mike Swaim Jr. sat on the pole in this very same Pontiac. Now, although his father had won this race 4 times, when they waved the green flag, he was all alone in the seat starting his first ever super speedway race. And he said he went to school. He took 80 laps of schooling on the Daytona Banks High Bank School of Drafting. And if you ask Mike what he learned as they fire the cars, he'll tell you, I learned I got to be very, very close to the car in front of me to be able to pass. And also, he said, I've got to be very, very aggressive. Now, challenge that strategy with the one with the driver right beside him. That is Will Hopgood, 45 years of age, and a veteran here, Hopgood, who won this race back in 1993 and finished second a year ago. If you ask him what he has to do, he says, I have got to be very, very patient today. Well, of course, there are some very fast cars at the front of the field, but there are also some speedsters starting about midway back. With more on that, here's Bill Weber.
Well, Jerry, throughout speed weeks, we've seen the blend of experienced veterans racing to win and inexperienced drivers that are racing to learn. That mix is throughout this entire field today here at Daytona. For instance, the 21 car of Christian Elder starts 21st. He was the fastest qualifier in second round, but his overall time would have put him 5th on the starting grid. This is just his 7th Goodies Dash race and his first ever race at Daytona. Directly behind him, 25-year-old Ernie Yarborough, nephew of Cale, starting 23rd. His first race at Daytona. In fact, it's his first race on any track over half a mile. And behind them is the experience of 2-time series champ and 3-time Daytona winner, Larry Cottle. He broke a spark plug before qualifying and is still searching for speed. This is a fun and less expensive series. If you don't think getting these cars around the track at 170 miles an hour is tough, well, you sit and watch for the next 2 hours. And remember, it might be an experienced veteran or an inexperienced driver, but one of them is going to victory lane today at Daytona.
And up here in the booth, we welcome Benny Parsons and the driver of the number 44 Hot Wheels Pontiac on the NASCAR Winston Cup Series, Kyle Petty. Well, we've had an experience, we've had young, we've had old, but all of them know they are at the world center of racing for today's event, Benny.
And that's exactly what we've got. We've got some guys under 25 years, under 30 years old that want to use the NASCAR Goodies Dash Series as a stepping stone to the next level, the NASCAR Busch Series or even Winston Cup. And we've got some guys that just want to race. And Kyle, Daytona's the place, and this is the cheapest place to do it.
Daytona is the place, definitely. Whether you're running this series, whether you're running the Busch, whether you're running Winston Cup, it makes no difference. Bicycles, bring bicycles out here. You want a Daytona trophy, and that's the way it is. That's why these guys are out here. You've got the young, you've got the old, like we spoke of. Mickey York, who has run this series from its inception, he's out here today. You've got guys that are using it as stepping stones. Andy Houston, David Amick, his brother, has stepped out of this series this year, I guess, into the Busch Grand National Series. So there's the young, there's the old, but they're all here doing that one thing. They're chasing that Daytona trophy.
Stand by now for 80 laps of competition, 200 miles at Daytona International Speedway, featuring the NASCAR Goodies Dash cars as we continue. ESPN and ESPN2's unprecedented coverage of Speed Weeks 97. Today, it's the NASCAR Goodies Dash Series. ESPN Speed World once again welcomes you to Daytona International Speedway for the Discount Auto Parts 200. It's all being brought to you by Daytona USA, the ultimate motorsports attraction. By Suzuki, your Suzuki motorcycle and ATV dealer has a ride you've been waiting for and the financing to get it. And by Quaker State Motor Oil for a clean running engine. cars are on the speedway. They're going to take another couple of laps to warm up the engines before we get the green flag. Here's the Suzuki starting grid. On the pole with a speed of 163.755 on the right of the screen is Mike Swaim Jr. in car number 28. Will Hobgood starts alongside in car 65. The second row, Daryl Murray, car 52, and number 35, David Amick. Row number 3, Brian Sockwell in 54 and Mickey York in 24. The fourth row, Robert Huffman in 37 and Danny Bagwell in number 10. Row number 5, Jake Hobgood in 58 and the number 63 car of Paul Carr.
Back in row 6, we have Ricky Bryant and John Redmond. Row 7, James Dent and George Crenshaw. Row 8 finds Bill Hennessy alongside Dennis Setzer. In row 9, Scott Weaver and Brian Ross. And Monk, Gullidge, and Robert Ham make up row 10.
In the 11th row is Christian Elder, car number 21, and Mike Watson, 39. Ernie Yarborough starts in the 23rd position along with Pat Patterson. It's Larry Caudle in 75 and Shane Jenkins in 85 in row 12. The 13th row, Donnie Neuenberger in 14 and Eric Wilson in number 92. Junior Miller will start alongside Gary Moore in the next row. There you see Neuenberger and Wilson in the 14th row. Here's the 15th row, Junior Miller and Gary Moore.
Then we find Robert Luckadoo and B.J. Mackey. Donnie Duchesne is inside the next row alongside Dave Stacy. And then Tom Brewer and Greg Dodgens. Charles Powell III will start alongside Chad Bradham, Ed Howell, and Keith Wilson. Back in the 19th row, row 20, Ned Combs and Andy Houston.
There you have the 42-car starting lineup for today's 19th annual Discount Auto Parts 200. For a closer look at these NASCAR Goodies Dash cars that are going to compete here for the next couple of hours, 200 miles, ESPN puts you in the seat. This compact isn't out for a Sunday drive. With its 4-cylinder 165 cubic inch engine, it's a real screamer. At 13-to-1 compression, it can't resist its 325 ponies, but at this big oval, they pull in the reins and restrict them to 250 horsepower. This 100-inch wheelbase car rides at a height of 47 inches, and they love to draft. And in the draft, economy's the game, as their 8-gallon fuel capacity can carry them a long way down the track. These 2,650-pound pint-sized racers hit speeds of 160 miles an hour at 7,000 RPM. 39 car of Mike Watts has pulled off of the lineup. Jerry, what's the problem?
Well, when he started the race, Bob, he pulled down pit road and suddenly he lost oil pressure, and the crew ran down to Mike's car and opened the hood and found out that the oil pump drive belt had come off. They put the belt back on. The oil pressure came back up and he pulled back on the racetrack. And I guess the belt now, I'm told by the crew, has come back off, and so he has no oil pressure. So the guy who won the very first Discount Auto Parts 200 back in 1979, struggling to even get started here today.
Well, an unfortunate break for Mike Watts, but we are ready to go green here at Daytona. There you see the field moving through corner number 4, the east end of the Daytona International Speedway, in the 31 degrees of banking. Pace car picks up the pace just a little bit. Mike Swaim Jr. is on the pole, ready to lead them to the green flag. Will Hobgood alongside. Pontiac pace car pulls off the track, and we're ready for racing on a Friday morning from Daytona. We're glad you're with us, and the green flag is out. And we have a spin already. Car number 47, Keith Wilson, locked him up as he came down for the green flag. He is okay. He's running, but this thing is off to a rather auspicious start here.
Well, Keith gave him a running start, didn't he? And look at that. Starting the front row is still just like they were on the parade lap.
2 by 2 down the backstretch in the first couple of rows. Who will have the advantage as they get to turn number 3? Nobody. They're still side by side, locked together. And again, these engines are restricted, so it's going to take them at least a lap to get up to full speed. But right now, they're staying together as they come off corner number 4 and head for the completion of lap number 1.
Oh, there's some heavy dicing going on now. Everyone trying to get position, lead that first lap. It will be Mike Swain leading that lap.
And Daryl Murray pulled into the second position to complete that first lap. That's Murray in the blue car to the inside. He is taking second spot, and that inside line seems to be going around those caught on the top.
Yeah, the other blue car on the inside is Brian Sockwell. That's Will Hobgood, the outside pole sitter. David Amick in the 35 car.
Robert Huffman is in 37, the yellow 37, as they are down the backstretch once again. And now Swaim moves out to about a car length advantage. Another car having problem. That's Dennis Setzer in car 97, who started 16th.
Back to the lead, Mike Swain and Daryl Murray pulling away from the cars as they line up 2 by 2. Jake Hobgood, I guess that's Will Hobgood, or Jake is the red car running about 7th or 8th. That's the son of the outside pole sitter, Will Hobgood.
We got one running 3rd and the son running in 6th position. These cars love to draft, as the In the Seat told you. You think the Winston Cup cars line up and do some fine drafting. You're going to see the same thing this morning, except at reduced speed. Here's the battle between Huffman and Amick for 5th position. And Amick pulls out ahead of Robert Huffman down the backstretch into turn 3.
Kyle, looks like Robert Huffman said, you know, I think we need to get in line and try to catch these guys.
This early in the race, that's the best thing they can do. They're doing no good running side by side. You saw them go in the first corner there. They broke from them about 10 or 15 car lengths because they did run side by side through the first corner.
James Dent in number 8 leads this group. Also in it, the 2 of Scott Weaver, the red car up on the high side of the racetrack.
Well, Scott Weaver had some engine problems in that car. This is the 3rd engine at least they've had in that car. Looks like it's running pretty well. There he goes by Dent. And that silver car in the very back, I think, is Christian Elder, who was second round fastest car and I think the 5th fastest car overall. And boy, they're doing some dancing in the corner, aren't they?
Man, they sure are. Here is David Amick in car number 35. He's positioned in 5th at the moment.
He was in a group of cars a moment ago. I don't see any cars around him. He might have a problem.
And it looks like he has dropped off the pace as the rest of the field goes around him. So Amick drops from his 5th position, and now we have a breakaway draft involving 4 cars. And Jerry, what was the problem with Dennis Setzer?
Well, Setzer has radioed the crew, so the car apparently just keeps shutting off in the corners and then picks back up on the backstretch of the straightaways and then sputters and shuts off again. So they're speculating there may be a fuel pickup problem, but whatever it is, Setzer's not having a very good beginning here at Daytona.
And Daryl Murray has taken the lead, and he's taken Hobgood and Sockwell along with him. Mike Swain, pole sitter, back to 4th spot.
Just that quick from 1st to 4th was Mike Swaim Jr. And Bill has a report on David Amick. What's his problem, Bill?
Well, I talked to his brother Lyndon, the defending series champ, the man who won here a year ago, and he said, we've got a fast car, just a young driver. Of course, that's his older brother in it, but he said right now David's simply learning a few lessons early in the race. He's okay.
All right. There you have the top 4 cars and a good pack of action back here. That's the 8 car of James Dent, it looks like.
That's Dave Stacy in front, I believe. Donnie Duchesne is the 2nd car, the 74 car. And a gaggle of cars.
A whole bunch of them come behind, 2 by 2. Larry Caudle is that orange number 77. 5th in line there.
The 3rd car back to the black car is Ernie Yarborough. We talked about him, and Bill Weber talked about him, the nephew of Cale Yarborough. There goes Larry Caudle, the orange car.
Larry started back in 25th position and has moved up to 23rd at the moment. So there's action all over the place. That 70 car there is Ed Howell, who started 39th. So these guys have moved up considerably since the drop of the green flag.
There's 2 silver cars. One of them's got to be the 21 car.
Yes, it is. That's Christian Elder, fastest 2nd round qualifier.
He's up to 15th, started 21st. Oh, that black car. Where do I go? Do I follow him? Do I follow the other car? And
that black car is the number 8 of James Dent. And Mickey York is in the pits. Let's get a report on what's going on down there.
Well, the disappointment for Mickey York continues. After final practice yesterday, their Oberg filter was full of metal. So they took out the race motor, put in the qualifying motor, thought they would be okay, but Mickey has lost oil pressure. They're adding oil to the car now, but he sits on pit road. He will not be a contender to win here at Daytona today. A big disappointment for the veteran of this series.
Yes, a very big disappointment. One of the nicest people in the world from Asheboro, North Carolina. Kyle, you've been knowing him all your life, haven't you?
Forever. Forever, it seems like. If you're around the Caraway or around the area, you know Mickey York.
There is the leader of the race, Daryl Murray, in car number 52, as 7 laps out of the 80 have been completed here at Daytona. Welcome back to Daytona International Speedway. Live coverage this morning of the Discount Auto Parts 200 for the NASCAR Goodies dash cars. And there you see a 4-car breakaway for the lead draft. Running back in 5th position, according to our scoring pylon there in the upper left of your screen, is Bagwell. Now, Will Hobgood is in the 65, running 2nd, and Jake Hobgood, his son, is 6th.
And he's got a dot. Hobgood Jr. has a dot after him. So.
Jerry Punch has more.
I spoke with Will Hobgood prior to the race. He said, you know, Doc, drafting is so important at Daytona in these cars, particularly if you got someone who will work exactly with you. So what we're going to try to do, I'm starting 2nd and my son Jake starting 9th. If Jake can catch me, he and I are going to hook up, and we think the 2 of us can finish 1st and 2nd. However, I've told Jake after 4 laps, I can't wait on him because if I lose that front draft, then I'm hung out to dry. I said, but if we can get together, we're going to have a little Hobgood hustle here for most of the afternoon.
And Jake Hobgood is trying. He's trying to drive by and catch this group car. There's the first 4, and that is a dead breakaway. Daryl Murray, Will Hobgood, Brian Sockwell, and Mike Swain. He's drifting back. Now he's getting a run off the corner. Lancaster Speedway. Now, Bob, that is not Lancaster. That's Lancaster.
Lancaster.
No, I'm wrong. It's Lancaster.
Well, all right, whatever. Here is Jake Hobgood leading this trio down the backstretch. That is Robert Huffman right behind him in 37. And then the 78 car, 74.
That's the 10 car of Danny Bagwell.
Okay, yeah.
Robert Huffman, Jake Hobgood leading this group. He just made that pass down the front stretch, and looks like he's got the group moving a little bit now, Kyle.
You know, it's real important here. I'm watching these guys draft, and drafting is critical. And we've talked about patience. Everybody talked about patience. But the thing is, you're running in a draft, and the guy may be leading you as fast as he can. You can lead a little faster. That's where the spotters are so important here, and the people in the pits are so important. They'll say, hey, we're running 9th or 10th. It makes no difference. Let somebody else lead these laps. So they change up, and hopefully they'll catch up with him.
You're seeing an ESPN field summary in the upper left showing you where the car is running right now, and the numbers in parentheses indicate where he started this event. 38 cars on the lead lap.
There's our onboard camera. Shane Jenkins' caution flag is out.
The 15 car of Robert Luckadoo has apparently experienced some kind of mechanical problem. And let's go to Jerry Punch, who has more on Dennis Setzer.
Well, Dennis Setzer's problems continue. I told you the car was shutting on and off. Apparently, they think it's a fuel pickup problem, or maybe one of the fuel lines, or maybe even some debris in the carburetor. They only got a 2-barrel carburetor, so if you block one of the barrels, you lose half the intake of air and fuel. They've taken the breather off here on his Pontiac and are looking inside. Dennis says the car will run on the straightaways, but will not run a lick. It shuts off in the banking, so maybe he'll get a break under this caution, although he is losing laps here in the pits.
He's got some kind of float problem in that carburetor that was causing the thing to run out of fuel in the corner.
So the caution is out at Daytona, and the field bunches up now for the restart. We have completed 12 out of 80 laps here this morning in the Discount Auto Parts 200. We'll be back right after this break. Welcome back to Daytona. The car in trouble was not number 15, it was 16, Monk Gullidge. And that's the reason for the caution flag, and Jerry Punch has a follow-up.
Well, the crew down here tells me the car number 16 has blown a motor. The engine just erupted out there on Monk Gullidge, and he's had to call it a day. And Unfortunately, there have been a couple other cars and drivers who've had problems during this caution flag. The car number 71 on pit road, that is B.J. Mackey. The car was sputtering and missing. It came down and raised the hood, and there was fuel just spewing out of the carburetor like one of those fountains you see in front of those hotels out at the beach. Gasoline just spewing up in the air. They've taken the breather off, and apparently they're trying to figure out what the problem is for B.J. Mackey as he still sits on pit road. Larry Caudill has made a pit stop, as has Junior Miller and the 07 of Crenshaw, along with Shane Jenkins.
Looks like they're taking the carburetor off.
Wow. Watching the work on B.J. Mackey's car. He is in. Well, of course, all of these races and all of our coverage that we have provided for you for the past week leads up to the big Daytona 500, and you can keep up to date on everything that's happening here when you tune in RPM tonight over on ESPN2. Tonight's special guest will be John Andretti and Elliott Sadler, who won the pole for the Busch race tomorrow, and the story of how Dale Earnhardt gets one more shot at winning Daytona. John Kernan, RPM tonight at 7 o'clock, live from Daytona International Speedway. They're the top five. We'll be right back.
Back at Daytona, getting ready to go green to the Discount Auto Parts 200. B.J. Mackey still sits on pit road. The problem on his car, while it was spewing fuel, the screw in the nut came out of the needle and seat in the carburetor, and that allowed fuel to spill out. Let me show you. Here's the backup carburetor. They just came down a moment ago. This little opening here, that's where the screw in the nut was inside. That backed out, and when he came in, fuel was spurting out of this in the air about 6 or 7 inches. It's a wonder this car didn't catch on fire. But now they have it fixed, and they'll be back on the racetrack as we get set for green once again. Bob?
There's the needle and seat that we're talking about. All the fuel going in the carburetor goes to that sets the height of the fuel level in the carburetor. All the fuel goes through that comes in the carburetor.
All right, green flag is back out on lap number 16. We are back to racing. We had a 4-car breakaway prior to the green flag. Let's see if everybody can stay together this time.
Big break for some of these cars. And boy, Daryl Murray does his job getting a great start.
He does. He's pulled out to a couple of car lengths lead now.
But Swain Jr. is taking over the 3rd spot from Sockwell.
He went to the inside and got the advantage. And now here comes a 58 of Jake Hobgood to pick up a position.
And Robert Huffman making it 3 abreast down in the corner trying to. But Sockwell got no help. David helped him on the outside there. Danny Bagwell's going with Huffman.
And that's David Amick up on the top side of the racetrack. 2 by 2 off the corner they come. And now Sockwell goes to the bottom.
I think Brian Sockwell in that blue car has a very fast race car. And is that Christian Elder that's already joined this group? Is it is?
Yes, it is.
Silver car at the very back started 21st. From Minneapolis, Minnesota. He's glad to be here with his Daytona or not. At least it's warm down here.
I was going to say, he's glad to be down here. It's warm. I tell you what, the caution was a blessing for a lot of these guys because we got them all caught up, and now the packs are going to be different.
We have a 10-car draft for the lead now. Down the backstretch, we'll tell you that B.J. Mackey went out onto the racetrack, but he has pulled off the track in turn number 2. So an early out for B.J. Mackey.
Yeah, I saw him sitting down in the grass in turns 1 and 2. And David Amick high on the racetrack, and cars going by. I guess that's Sockwell going by.
And Scott Weaver in car number 2 is the orange car, and there is Christian Elder in this silver car. He has ideas of maybe going to the inside, and we have another caution on the racetrack.
That's because of B.J. Mackey sitting down in 1 and 2 in the grass.
Wow, that was set up to have some good side-by-side racing, but unfortunately the caution's going to come out and slow them down and bunch up the field once again. There is B.J. Mackey. The car, as you can see, is well off the racetrack. However, it is not in a safe place down there in the grass, not too far off the apron of the track, and so the crew will go out and get the 71 off of the racetrack. We'll be right back. Caution is still out here at Daytona. Second caution of the day. This one to get B.J. Mackey's car in a safer place. Here's Bill Weber with a report on pit strategy.
And a few guys are on pit road now, and they're coming in just for fuel. But ideally, you only want to make 2 stops for fuel at about 30 or 31 laps. Then you'll make your another stop around lap 60. That will get you to the conclusion of this 80 laps. But you want to try and make your fuel last at least 30 laps here in the Goody's Dash Series. Now for more pit road strategy, Dr. Jerry Punch has today's Track Fact.
Track Facts are brought to you by Quaker State Motor Oil for a clean running engine.
For the past 22 years, the Goody's Dash cars have
with you live here at Daytona. We apologize. We had a massive power failure that knocked our truck out and therefore knocked us off the air. Actually, you haven't missed very much. We've only run about 3.5 laps of green. There you see a 5-car breakaway in the lead draft. That is Murray, Hobgood, Swaim, Huffman, and Jake Hobgood.
Daryl Murray, the lead car, has been the dominant car so far. And as you say, 5-car breakaway. There are 5 more cars, but about 100 yards behind this group. And all these cars running in single file. You know, they're showing a little patience, Bob. They aren't running side by side. They're showing a little patience. They might want to win this race.
We have pictures for you now, and again, you haven't missed a great deal. We do apologize. It's just one of those things when the power went away, and here we sat with absolute helplessness. Hey, here's a good battle as positions are being changed, and does that Will Hobgood go into the back?
Will Hobgood went to the back of that 5-car draft. Mike Swaim, pole sitter, the red car, moved in the second spot. That's Robert Huffman, the White House Apple Juice car in the yellow 37. And Jake Hobgood in 4th, and his father, Will, behind him.
Well, they wanted to run together, and there they are. In 4th and 5th position. 24 laps have been completed. The cars come down to complete lap number 25 of 80.
This almost looks like the Daytonas the way they used to run the Winston Cup cars. They were packs of 4 and 5 at a time.
See James Dent, the 8 car, Andy Houston in the 30 car. That's Tommy Houston's son. He started a provisional or something way back, and he is off and running. He started 42nd,
yeah,
and is now in 17th spot. There's Donnie Duchesne on the outside. That's a 74 car.
That car got a little loose up there in the high groove, and he had to fight it to regain control, but everything is okay.
He started 33rd. Did Donnie Duchesne in the 74 car. Uh-oh. Getting past us. Shouldn't talk about Donnie like that. He's getting past.
These cars move around an awful lot on this racetrack. If I was driving a car that moved around that much, I think I'd just come in and park.
Well, see, they don't know, Kyle. They don't know how bad it is.
Maybe we ought to put monitors in their cars.
The white car on the back of that group is Robert Ham in number 56, one of the NASCAR Goodies Dash Rookie of the Year candidates.
And boy, these cars need to get in line. If they run side by side much longer, they're just simply going to drive away from them. John Redmond in the 45. John, you and Donnie, get in line.
Now they're running running side by side, so that means that if this group could get in line, they would catch him, but they're also running side by side. That's Stacy there in the number 6 car leading that group.
That's right, and the 50 car is Chad Branham, and Branham's going by on the outside. See, Stacy has no help, and the train is just going by, and he can't get on.
Yes, that is the Dave Stacy who in 1994 flipped into Lake Lloyd and ended his race. There is Huffman and Hopgood battling wheel to wheel. That is the battle for 5th position. Jerry Punch has more as we watch Christian Elder move up on the outside.
We are being told that the 37 car may have a problem. Other cars are radioing that the 37 car, Robert Huffman, may be losing some rear end grease. There's definitely some smoke coming out of the back of the car, and the White House crew here on pit road are talking to Robert. He says the car is running well, but apparently the smoke is getting a little bit worse each time by.
He's waving to the other cars behind him, realizing that he has a problem. So Huffman is trying to let all those faster cars behind him get around.
Christian Elder on the high side going by. That's Sockwell behind him, and Will Hobgood, the outside pole sitter. Huffman was waving frantically in the travel like he had a problem.
I thought he was waving and motioning for him that he was going to pull down and get out of the way, and as he waved him off and then pulled away from him. A minute ago, the Hobgood brothers, or the Hobgood team there, they teamed up on him and tried to go by him and just couldn't make it by him completely.
Danny Bagwell in car 10 was running 9th. He's in the pits. Bill, what's the matter?
Nothing wrong here, Bob. This is the beginning of scheduled pit stops. Now remember, these guys really wanted to try and get close to lap 30. You can't change tires in this series, so these are fuel-only stops. They almost made it to 30. If they can make it one more, that length, 28 or 29 laps, will probably be okay. Expecting the leaders to pit fairly soon. Remember, under green, you could lose a lap. Jerry, more on Robert Huffman's woes.
Well, Robert just told the crew that apparently he thinks it's the transmission. It's just to the right side of his right knee. That's where the vibration and the smoke was coming out just beneath the boot, which covers the shifter and the transmission. But now Robert says that it seems to be going away. The smoke is going away and the car's running better. They're going to try to make it to lap 30, which is when most of that lead draft wants to make their first pit stop for fuel.
Well, the car seems to be doing okay. I mean, he's hanging right with the draft, and one car is way up high. Who was it?
Are all these cars coming in for fuel? It looks like the whole pack is coming in for gasoline. Here they come.
That's Hopgood, who was way up high, and you're right. Christian Elder just in the last minute decides he's going to pit. 65-mile-an-hour speed limit down pit road. Boy, I sure hope he got it woed down for that. Murray is in, so is Swaim, Huffman, and also the 54 car of Brian Sockwell, the blue one there at the end of that line.
He might have got a speeding ticket. What do you think, Kyle?
Yeah, he could have them. You saw the marks on pit road. It was just a couple that he passed into.
Down to Jerry Punch.
Well, Darrell Murray just locked it up and slid through his pit. That cost him about 5 seconds. They are trying to get the car fueled. They all wanted to pit on lap 30. This is lap 30. Christian Elder is in. Here's Mike Swaim Jr., Robert Huffman, and Swaim will be the first car off pit road, followed by Huffman and then Murray.
And the 37 car is leaving, but it is smoking heavily. Huffman's White House apple juice car is smoking heavily. Bill Weber?
David Amick on pit road again. This is fuel only, having trouble getting him restarted here. His brother Lyndon coaching him from the pits. Waiting. The Hobgoods now on pit road, and they're pitted right here in front of the 35, so this could be pretty tricky here. The 58 is in, and the 65 right behind
They missed, Bill. They missed their pit.
Yep. Will Hobgood has gone through his pit. He's being fueled as he's being pushed back. Jake Hobgood's going to have to go around again. They miscommunicated. Will Hobgood on his way. Now Jake sits here on pit road. They're going to run up and fuel his car in the wrong pit. So they take the gas can up there, fueling the car in the wrong pit. We'll have to wait and see what the officials say. Now the caution flag flies. Caution is out here in Daytona.
Wow. Just a comedy of errors there on that pit stop by Jake and Will Hobgood. Now Jake has his fuel and pulls back out, but that was quite a catastrophe for that team.
Yeah, Kyle, that's exactly the way racing used to be, isn't it?
Exactly. This looks like a Winston Cup race from about 20 years ago.
Exactly. It's exactly the way it used to be.
We do have a caution. It could be because of James Dent. He is slow out there. Was running 12, so James was doing a very fine job, but the car running very, very slowly. He is about to make it, however, to pit entrance. There he is coming off of corner number 4.
Boy, do you talk about a jumbled up mess. It's a good thing we got electronic scoring, because there's no way in the world we'd be able to sort it out without it.
32 laps have been completed. We're under our 3rd caution of the morning here at Daytona International Speedway in the NASCAR Goodies Dash Series. Well, we are back at Daytona, and we have determined through electronic scoring and other means that Andy Houston in car number 30 is the leader of the race. But boy, what a comedy of errors. We shouldn't be too difficult on them, however, because you guys used to do that too, didn't you?
Hey, in 1987, that was only a few years, 10 years ago.
Yep.
The Daytona 500, I overshot my pit just like the Hopgoods did. Cost me the Daytona 500. I mean, you know, so I know exactly what they're going through. Well, about 2 car lengths by, and they had to chase me down, put fuel in my car, and Bob, it cost me the Daytona 500.
We've all been in that situation. When I first started, I ran cars that were painted exactly like my father's. We used the same pit boards. We used everything. You just look and see that STP sign. I was in his pit on more than one occasion, with Dale Inman screaming at me on the radio. I can tell you that right now.
Here is the 65 of Will Hopgood coming in.
That's his pit.
Yeah,
that's his pit.
There he pulls into his son's pit. Now his son is wondering, well, what in the world am I going to do?
Yeah, and he's got to back up because he's over that white line. And see the white line right at the nose, they can't be over that.
So they gas him.
But there's the son.
There's Jake there.
The son is sitting there and said, Dad, what am I supposed to do now?
More from Bill Weber.
And obviously they're very disappointed down here, and NASCAR talking it over. You are not allowed to fuel outside of your own pit, so they will be looking to enforce apparently some kind of penalty down here. But right now, the Hopgood team is concerned about whether or not they hung on to the lead lap, and they're trying to get that figured out as well. The leader's coming down pit road now.
Yeah, let's see. About the first 10 cars are making pit stops. Houston is in. Pat Patterson is in. The 69 car of Junior Miller comes to a stop. Larry Caudle, Bill Hennessy, several making pit stops under this caution. And so far, everybody has found his pit.
Wow. Donnie Duchesne is already pitted and is going back on the racetrack. He might end up leading this thing. But you know,
whoops. We have a collision between Patterson and Setzer. Patterson was pulling out and Setzer was right there in the lane, and a bit of a collision there. Well, let's take a breath here and settle things down a little bit. When we lost power, we were in an ESPN track fact concerning tires with Dr. Jerry Punch, so hopefully we're not going to go off the air again with a power loss. Let's find out what the good doctor had to say in this track fact. Track Facts are brought to you by Quaker State Motor Oil for a clean running engine.
Well, for the first time in the 23-year history of the Goodies Dash Series, these cars are running full-size 15-inch Goodyear tires. Now, for 22 of those 23 years, they ran the smaller 13-inch tires. Well, why the change? Well, these tires offer 17% more contact pads, means better grip on the racetrack, better handling cars, much more stable at high speeds. But that's not the reason. The reason is inside this tire, there's an inner liner, a tire within a tire, like the Winston Cup and the Busch cars run, so that if you cut a tire, cut the outside, these are bias ply tires, you still have a tire inside as a safety liner to keep the car up off the racetrack. Now, with that said, I'm going to tell you this, that no one will change tires today. That's right, in Goodies Dash Racing, these tires are economy tires and cost $100 a piece. The $400 worth of tires you have on the car you start with, that's what you'll finish the race with. So unlike their counterparts in Busch or Winston Cup that have tires stacked up here higher than my head, most of these guys have only four that they probably will not use. Bob?
All right, Doctor, we will be going green here in one more lap. In that time, we'll take another break and return with more from Daytona International Speedway at the Discount Auto Parts 200. Just about to go back to racing here at Daytona. The pace car has the field behind it off of corner number 4. And apparently Will Hopgood is going to be the leader of this race. Car number 65, Swaim and Huffman and
Weaver.
Jake is lined up fourth.
The Weaver kid.
That's right.
Number
Scott
2,
Weaver.
Scott Weaver is fourth.
Okay, here we go. Green flag flying on lap 37. We are nearing the halfway point.
And the blue car, that's Murray and Sockwell running 5th and 6th.
Murray, of course, led the early laps. Those down low for the restart for the lap cars. Now we have a whole bunch of cars going down low to try to get a better position in the first turn. Boy, it's fun to watch these guys dice all over the place, isn't it?
I'm telling you, there goes Dennis Setzer, the black number 97 by Charles Powell III. Trying to get a 3-car breakaway.
Yep.
It's amazing how quick they do get in line and they can break away from the rest of the field.
Here's Shane Jenkins on board camera as he's up on the high side of the racetrack.
And we can see that someone is losing some oil because his windshield is very dirty with oil. And Kyle, that's about what it looks like, isn't it?
It's about exactly what it looks like, and you don't pay any attention to it because it starts clean and it gets that way gradually, and once it gets that way gradually, then you don't pay any attention.
Lead change. Mike Swain goes to the lead, brings Robert Huffman along with him, or tries to. Huffman and the 65 of Hobgood almost made contact, and Murray's going to help Huffman, and he will get by. There comes Sockwell, 54. But Hobgood has a good race car.
And once again, Murray is signaling to the driver behind him. Remember, he did that a while ago, and we thought the car had mechanical problems, but he's going for the lead.
Lead change, Robert Huffman.
Whoa, and here comes Murray right behind him in the blue 52. And they put Swain back to at least third and maybe fourth. Nope, he's going to be third, but now here comes Sockwell to the inside, and the line forms to the inside, so Swain is going to get punted back.
Comes the second group, and they're about 3 abreast and trying to get 3 abreast.
And another group of cars that are side by side.
That's black number 9 was Ned Combs. Andy Houston, the blue car number 30, leading this group that we're watching now, going down to turn 1.
Meanwhile, up front, it is a 8-car breakaway, I believe.
Up, lead change, Darrell Murray in the 52. And here comes Swain along with him.
And Hobgood.
Goodbye, Robert. Been nice knowing you.
Well, I tell you, we've had 3 lead changes in 3 laps, and these guys are going at it. These cars all appear to be just about equally matched, and it's just a matter of who's your friend and who helps you in the draft as to where you're going to fall in. There's Christian Elder falling in behind Huffman.
He's trying to figure out, now, which one do I follow? Now, Scott Weaver in the 2 car says, I think I'll follow Sockwell.
He can't make up his mind on which line he wants to be in. One corner, it looks like the outside line's the way to go. The other time, it looks like the inside. But while these guys are running side by side, the front pack has put, 10 or 12 car lengths on them.
Yep, it is a 3-car breakaway as the battle is for 4th side by side. Now it settles down a little bit, but while they were running side by side, the lead trio took off.
A 35 car at the back is David Amick, and he spent several laps on pit road, so
he's shown as 2 down in 31st position.
He raised the hood, had some kind of problem.
Off of corner number 4, and the crossed flags are shown. We are halfway through the Discount Auto Parts 240 laps completed, and
caution flag is out. Caution flag is out.
This will be the 4th caution of the day, just at the halfway mark, and you see the speeds there as they came across the line, but the caution flag has come out. And you see that the 3rd place car was faster than the leader.
Wow. 165 miles per hour for these little bugs.
Bill Weber has more on the Hobgood story.
And this is Dub Roundtree, his crew chief. What happened during that pit stop, Dub?
He ran over the line a little bit. We had to push him back. I lost a couple of seconds, but I still put a good stop on him.
And the 58 car?
58, the 35 was coming in, and he went to go out, and the 58 had to just dodge him. We'll get it back. He's still on the lead lap, so we'll hook back up full on.
The 65 was having a small temperature problem. Were you able to get the grill clean?
Grill was totally covered in rubber. Got it out now. It's running 170 degrees. No problem.
He's falling back a little bit, but that's okay with you. It's only halfway through.
Right. The restarts kind of kill us a little bit because of the gear we got in the car, but we'll be all right. Let it run a lap or two and you'll see.
Okay. That's Dub Roundtree down to Dr. Punch.
Well, we're with David Flynn, who's the crew chief for Robert Huffman. And David, what is the problem? Robert had smoking earlier, and he said it might be the rear end, it might be the transmission. Have you diagnosed it yet?
We believe we might have had a transmission leak. Something's going wrong with the transmission. He smells the grease in it and everything, and the shifter's been vibrating. So, but as of right now, it's quit vibrating, so maybe we can just hang in there.
Well, it's probably not vibrating now because he's going a little slower than he was a moment ago. When he's up to speed, does it vibrate, or is he still getting some smoke inside?
Not right now. Everything seems okay right now, so I don't know. Maybe I don't know what's causing.
All right, Robert Huffman's going to try to run for the championship down here, so he wants to hang on and finish this race. Let's check back in with you, Bill.
With Lyndon Amick, who was in victory lane here a year ago, but is coaching his older brother today. A long pit stop, hood goes up. What's the problem?
Well, we ran out of gas on the backstretch. We had to come in and get it fixed, and we're trying to get that lap back. He's got a real good car, you know, and we're fixing to get the lap back. We'll be first car one lap down, so we'll see how he does.
You able to coach him from down here?
I'm trying, doing the best I can. We got Bob Jeffries, the Winston Cup spotter up there from up top. So a combination of all of us and Richard Mash and the whole crew, I think we're doing pretty good.
You were in victory lane in this race here a year ago. Tomorrow, you run in the Busch race.
Yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a learning experience just like David.
Good luck.
Thanks.
So with the caution flag still out, and the reason for the caution is some oil over in turn number 3. So the track crew is out there putting down some oil dry. And while we're under caution, we'll take another break from Daytona International Speedway. ESPN Speed World welcomes you back live to Daytona International Speedway for the NASCAR Goodies Dash Race. And it's all being brought to you by the more than 1,500 AutoZone stores across America. AutoZone, the best parts in auto parts. Still under caution at lap number 42. Let's try to talk to Huffman, Benny.
Well, we've talked to his crew chief. Let's try talking to him. Hey, Robert Huffman, this is Benny Parsons up to ESPN. You got me?
Hey, Benny, I'm clear.
What's the smoke coming from? You have any idea?
I ain't real sure. I thought I might be having a little transmission trouble just down a high gear one time down the front stretch. I've been holding it in high gear down the straightaways. So I don't know. That's why house apple juice car's going awful good. We went to the front there for just a minute. We'll just have to see what we got later on.
So you're driving with one hand and hold it in gear with the other hand?
Trying to down the straightaway. I'm trying to grab a hold through the corners with both hands, but just trying to keep everything together here.
That's a good idea. Use two hands in the corner, Robert.
M4, thanks.
Good luck.
Down to Bill Weber with more on this.
I have more for you, Bob. A Valentine's story for Robert Huffman since today's Valentine's Day. His wife, Ashley, knew what she was getting into when they got married, but she didn't realize that he was so committed to racing, they couldn't get married on a weekend. They got married on Easter Monday, so he wouldn't miss a racing weekend during that week. Now, they're currently going through a marital enrichment program at their church, and their goal this week for Valentine's Day was to overwhelm your spouse with affection. So Robert, this morning, presented his wife, Ashley, with roses on the grid before the race. Dr. Punch.
And the crew just a moment ago presented Robert with a backup transmission. Look at this little thing cute here. These are 4-cylinder cars. Look how small this transmission is. In fact, a guy just came running down pit road carrying it. In fact, when they want to change a motor in this division, these motors come with handles on them so you can carry them inside. And one crew this week picked up a motor with a handle, carried it in their condo where they were staying on the beach, and rebuilt it in the living room. I'm sure the folks they're renting the condo from don't want to hear that, so I'm not going to tell you who it was, but they just carried it inside and rebuilt it, carried it back in the truck the next day, and brought it back to the racetrack. 4-cylinder cars, pretty small, guys.
How about that? That's one thing I wanted to do, and I forgot about it. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. Here's our AutoZone race recap. We are past the halfway mark. The leader is Murray. He's led 30 of the 41 laps. We have 7 leaf changes, 5 caution periods, total of 18 laps, and they're averaging 122.4 miles an hour. The lap leaders have included, besides Murray, Hobgood, Swaim, Houston, and the other Hobgood. And then we have George Crenshaw and Robert Huffman both leading 1 lap. Out of race so far, just 3 drivers, Monk Gullidge, Mickey York, and Doc Brewer, as the green flag is about to send them on their way again.
And Darryl Murray, I messed that all up to begin with, is sponsored by the Lancaster, South Carolina Speedway, and it's Lancaster.
In South Carolina, it's Lancaster.
Somewhere else it might be called Lancaster, but it's not. It's Lancaster. Green flag about to wave, and action is going to pick up again. It's been pretty exciting, hasn't it, Kyle?
It has been exciting. It's been real exciting for me to know that my car is not the only one that's moving around this fast.
Green flag waves. We're back to racing.
David Amick on the inside, the 35 car, a couple laps down, trying to get in front of the leader, and hopefully the caution flag comes out. He could then get a lap back, but looks like the train is going on the outside.
Scoring says that David got one of his laps back. He's now 1 lap down in 29th. Again, we remind you these cars, although they are only 4-cylinder, they are restricted here at Daytona, and it takes them at least a lap to get up to full speed, and that's what they're trying to do right now as they're at the end of the backstretch.
Jan Smith, that builds the engines in the 28 car, told me that they would probably run 180 miles per hour were it not for the restrictor plate that they use.
Now there is Robert Huffman, who has joined the low line. Here comes Hobgood to do the same, so let's see how this all shakes out as they come onto the tri-oval. David Amick is staying right up there despite the fact he's a lap down. He's right with the leader, Murray.
This is a mess, isn't it?
I'm telling you.
Boy, they are moving around, aren't they? David Amick. This is probably one of the cars that Lyndon used last year in winning the championship in the NASCAR Goodies Dash Series. The leader is the blue car on the outside, the 52. There's a battle for second spot between Huffman, the 37, the 28 of Mike Swain. Other cars in the battle, there's Christian Elder, the silver, number 21. Baby.
Oh, how are we going to live through this? We did. Look at Hobgood go to the bottom, right in the middle of the third corner. Whoa!
Huffman moves up and he has the lead. He and Murray and the 28. Can they make it?
Yep.
So far.
Man. Good stuff. Good stuff. Good racing. There goes Swain down to the low side, right ahead of Sockwell.
Earlier in the race, I thought David Amick was just going to ride and learn some things. He learned a lot right there in about a 200-yard period.
Ignorance is bliss. There's no doubt about it.
Now here comes Christian Elder on the outside. He's running about 6th.
Trying to catch up with this lead group. Uh-oh. Here we go. Robert Huffman trying to move over the block. In the meantime, Swain is trying to go by with Scott Weaver, the 2-car, and looked like he and the 28 of Swain are going to hook up and try to go on the outside. Not a good plan.
There's Weaver in the 2. Go ahead, Kyle.
All these teams have spotters, but a lot of the teams that are running up front have spotters at the end of the backstretch because there's so much that goes on at the end of the backstretch, just like we've seen. They've gone 3 wide, they've gone 4 wide, they've gone to the middle, they've gone everywhere. You've got to have a spotter on the backstretch anymore in Winston Cup racing to be able to tell you what's going on with the cars around you over there also.
Battle for the lead. There goes Murray.
Murray to the inside. He's trying to drag Hobgood with him, and they put Huffman back to 2nd. There's Hobgood working the low line. He's got the best draft off the 52. He goes to 2nd, and now Swain will try to come to 3rd.
I thought Swain was going to make it 3 deep, but he's trying to take over that 3rd spot.
There's Scott Weaver.
Some smoke out of the back of that car.
Yep.
Wasn't it?
Looked like a little bit. Yep. That's Sockwell in 54. Brian Sockwell running alongside Robert Huffman, and Huffman has gone from the lead back to 5th in 1 lap.
And he could be back about 7th if Sockwell and Christian Elder in the 21, the silver car, gets hooked up.
Well, I'll tell you, we've been so excited watching these cars do all their dicing and passing that we really forgot to compliment them, because I don't care if they're young or old, these guys have put on a heck of a show.
Yes, they have. Now, those 2 cars, they're good friends, but they need to get in line. Otherwise, they're in jeopardy of losing the draft.
Yep.
But no one wants to back out and do that. Danny Bagwell. Look at Danny come through there in the 10 car.
Bridewell's run well all morning. He's up to 8th.
Getting ready to catch a slow car down the inside. It's going to make everything scared.
That's Dave Stacy.
Uh-oh.
Man, they made contact.
Huffman was out of control and saved it.
Oh, you saw that coming, didn't you?
You can see that coming when they went in turn 3 over there. They were going to catch a slow car coming out of 4. And that's one thing you learn by running speedways and doing this stuff. You learn to look ahead, And, you know, on so many short tracks, so many different racetracks around the country, you don't have to. But on the super speedways, you've got to look so far ahead to see that this situation was going to happen.
There we see the slow car, and there we see the 54 goes down, goes up, and touches Huffman in the left rear, and that was close.
Wow, Jerry Punch.
Hey, Huffman just told the crew when he said this, I said, guys, hey, not bad for one-handed, huh?
That's right, he is driving one-handed. That was spectacular. And the smoke on the 2 car that we saw a while ago apparently was tire rub.
On the straightaway?
Well, that's what they told us.
The 2 car right now is losing positions. There we see Huffman and Sopwell. They're hooked up trying to run down the leaders. Danny Bagwell's the 3rd car in that group, and Weaver, Scott Weaver, is the 4th car, followed by Christian Elder. And there is who they're trying to catch.
Yeah, Weaver has dropped back to 2nd position. So there they are, the top 3, and they have broken away from the rest of the field, and the caution is out for the 5th time here at Daytona, and it comes on lap number 50 with 30 to go.
Well, they can't make it on one more stop, I don't think. 30 laps. Did they run 30 laps that first time, I wonder?
And the reason for the caution is debris here in the tri-oval near the start-finish line. So it's been there. It is the reason for the caution, and that's just right down in front of us. Remember that happened to Shane Doles last year in the ARCA race here at Daytona. So they're going to have to get that off the racetrack, and we'll have to do that before we go back to green.
It's going to be close. They might be able to pit now and make it the rest of the way.
All right, 51 laps completed. Back in just a moment. Just as you rejoin us here at Daytona, the field comes off the 4th corner, and most everybody comes in for a pit stop. Everybody, or most everybody on the lead lap comes in. Here's Bill.
Will Hopgood is in, shoving the fuel in the car. They've already cleaned the front grill, looking behind him for his son. Will is away. Now to Jerry Punch.
Errol Murray already getting gas in his car. They will need to get it full, but they are losing more than they're putting in, I think. The car is down and away as he almost gets flipped, leading pit road. Hopgood has gone by. They're going to stop. And now they stop the 52 and the 37 at the end of pit road, but Hopgood and some of the other cars had already gone by.
Wow, look at the action down there.
There's a stop sign. Man, we see the stop. He has the green sign out because we're seeing the red stop as all the cars come off pit road.
Everybody except Ed Howell, and Ed had a problem. They're raising the hood on the car and they're pushing it back to its stall, so a problem for Ed Howell, but everybody else is out of the pits. Here's Jerry.
See that big puddle there in Daryl Murray's pits, folks? That's not water. That is gas. That was gasoline that did not get in the race car. They had trouble getting the dry brake system connected, and the fuel went across the deck lid and down across the car and onto the ground, and they had to have the car absolutely full. They only have 8-gallon fuel cells in these cars. I wonder if he'll make it the final 30 laps.
Well, that's a good question.
It is a good question. Hopefully it came out the overflow, which signifies that it is full. But if they're only going to stay in there for a few seconds, obviously they didn't get as much fuel in the car as they thought they were going to.
Yep. All right, well, the caution remains out here, and the pit stops have been made. So now the next order of business is the reline for the restart. Again, the reason for this caution was some debris on the racetrack at the start-finish line.
We would leave it right. Nice car.
Well, the discussion here in Daryl Murray's pit with the Goody's official and Daryl Murray's crew chief is the fact that some of these guys have said that they were told they ran the stop sign. The drivers are saying there was no stop sign out at the end of pit road. The go sign was there. And that's what we questioned out here during that pit stop. About 2 or 3 of the guys went by, and then the the other guys were forced to stop, and who were all running in the lead draft. And now they're still pleading their case here in the Daryl Murray pits as he is talking to the Goody's NASCAR official. And we'll find out what the decision is, but we are being told they may bring Murray back down for a stop and go.
Boy, that would be a tough break for Daryl, who has run so well since the drop of the green.
Where's Hopgood? I mean, he also did not stop down there. He's running in second spot. Did he come back in?
I don't think so. There was a collision between two cars as they left the pits just moments ago, but everybody's okay.
There's Hopgood.
There's Hopgood there.
But he's way back.
Way back.
Way back. No, he's not.
Huh?
Right, but where's the leader then? I mean, the monitor here is showing the 52 cars leader.
And we know that's not right.
Hopgood obviously is the leader of the race.
Jerry, help us.
What they're trying to say here in Daryl Murray's pits, they said, how can we come in as the leader and come out of the pits in 20th spot, and you say we ran the stop sign? They're saying that some of the other guys who pitted at the same time went on by the stop sign, as did Murray, and then the stop sign was turned, and then 3 or 4 cars stopped. But they're saying there was no stop sign showing. Now, if NASCAR continues to say that that's what happened, then they will put Murray at the back of the line. Bill, they're still discussing it down here.
Well, Jerry, Danny Bagwell sits in his pit. He had a good qualifying effort. They fueled the car. He sits there, but he needs a right side window. He's the reason for the current caution. The right side window blew out. They went to get one. They did not have one here on pit road, and they are waiting for a right side window. Danny Bagwell sits here.
We are going green regardless of who's in the lead, and the scoring monitor shows us Donnie Neuenberger in 14 is at the front of the field. So that means that Hopgood is second, right?
Hopgood is, in fact, second, and he's going to be first in just a second. We see Mike Swaim. He's going to be third.
And there's probably Sockwell, I believe.
Scott put this Sockwell or Murray. The 2-car James Weaver is in the pits with the hood up. Good run for him, but it's gone away.
Wow.
Now they're coming.
3 abreast once again.
In the sets of the black car in the middle.
Ooh. Wow, this is hold your breath time here.
I'm telling you. There comes Robert Huffman.
Man, look at him go on the bottom. 3 wide. His car is on the apron. He gets to the third turn and leads the race.
Don't get so excited, Bob. You can say it.
And he's holding the thing in gear at the same time.
Well, he said he's going to drive with both hands down in the corners, but holding one in the transmission and gear down the straightaway. Meanwhile, Neuenberger got the field behind him. Oh, now here comes Hopgood on the outside. Neuenberger moves over and lets his train go by.
That is Sockwell 4th, and Christian Elder is in 5th, and that's 4th in the silver car.
And Hopgood has a run on Huffman. Here he goes. Swaim is going by. Oh, they're still knocking and beating back there. Now they're 3 abreast right in the middle of the corner. Donnie Duchesne, the 74 car. There's 45, John Redmond and David Amick. There goes the
Dennis Setzer, yep, 97.
4 abreast. Oh, yeah. This is a wreck looking for a place to happen, Kyle.
For some reason, they haven't spread out after this restart like they did after the last 2 or 3. It's incredible. They go low, they go high, and they come back and forth in between.
As they come down, we've got 6 cars hooked up in the lead draft, being led by Hopgood with Swain second, then Sockwell, Huffman, and Christian Elder.
And Daryl Murray is the guy that really, the leader of the race. We see him way back there, and he is the guy that really got hustled on that pit stop.
Yep.
His guys must have been arguing that someone else ran the stop sign. Because oh yeah, there he is. Whoa. There he is.
He's in the middle of a sandwich. That's James Dent in the 8 car to the inside. And a battle up front.
There we see Swain going for the lead. And Huffman is back to 4th spot. Hopgood, that's Will Hopgood. Let's see, what's happened to our hero? There he is.
He's still in the sandwich.
Man.
Jerry Punch has more.
Daryl Murray's crew chief just came over and told me, he said, Daryl radioed and said, guys, they have made me mad. Now, I'm going to go out here and try to win this thing. They've got me angry. I said, hey, what was he trying to do before he got angry?
I'm telling you. Okay, up front, Mike Swaim has taken the lead. Sockwell has come to second, then Hobgood and Huffman.
And Huffman is going by on the outside. So did something happen to Hobgood, or he just get off the throttle and lose all that space? You reckon?
Yeah, I think that's the case.
Huffman passed on the outside. That's the first time I've really seen anybody really pass on the outside.
Field summary doesn't indicate it, but Hobgood has dropped back.
What do we see there? There's the Jake Hobgood in 6th spot. This is the lead quartet.
Yep. Actually, Elder is close enough to be considered 5th and Hobgood 6th. And not too far behind are 3 more cars being led by Charles Powell III, CP3. Now Hobgood to the inside of Christian Elder. Gets the spot. And now the Hobgoods are back nose to tail.
Now let's see if the boy will do what his daddy tells him to do. Probably not. You think you'd have a friend there with your dad or your son, wouldn't you?
I think that works everywhere, but not here at Daytona on this race. And maybe Talladega, it doesn't work there either.
Well, we still got about 22 laps of racing left. It has been one heck of a race so far, and it promises to be so until the checkered flag drops. We'll be right back. Tomorrow on ESPN, the 6th-ranked Blue Devils of Duke. Greg Newton and Jeff Capel are just 2 of the leaders on what may be the hottest team in the country right now. They'll be in Tallahassee to take on Florida State. That's the 2nd game at noon. On Saturday, it's the 19th-rated Xavier Musketeers hosting George Washington. And at 7:30, it's Duke and Florida State tomorrow here on ESPN.
So much for that hoop. Let's go back racing again.
Man. Well, Mike Swaim, I see, is up front.
Yes, he is. Ryan Sockwell in 2nd spot, and Christian Elder has worked his way up to 3rd. This is the farthest forward that Christian has been today. Good run. And there we see 4, 5, and 6. We've got Huffman and the 2 Hobgoods.
We should distinguish that this is Mike Swaim Jr., and he is the son of the guy who has won here 4 times in 84, 85, 86, and 94, Mike Swaim Jr. Mike Swaim Sr. Won here, and this is Swaim Jr., who won the pole position for the 2nd time in a row here at Daytona. Jerry?
And Bob, despite the fact that they were on the pole, they had no sponsor for the car. Mike Swaim Jr. had a very plain uniform, and yet yesterday afternoon, the 2 guys, the 2 Peacock brothers who own a local Chrysler Plymouth dealership in town, came up to him and said, hey, we'll give you $1,000 to sponsor the car. And Mike said, well, that's great, but I'm driving a Pontiac. He said, we don't care. We like racing. We'll put our Chrysler Plymouth dealership on your Pontiac, and maybe we'll both win.
Look at Jake Hobgood back there. He almost made contact with Huffman as they came off the corner. And Jake gets shuffled back, it looks like, to the back of this 6-car train.
Now Will is going to dive to the inside and try to take over the spot from Christian Elder.
But he has nobody down there to help him, so they're going to run side by side, it looks like, allowing maybe the front 2 to pull away. Well, Elder hanging right in there.
Well, I tell you, Kyle, you're right. When they get side by side, they just seem like the cars stop.
Just absolutely. And you watch the Winston Cup guys and the Busch guys, they know that, and they've learned that, and you watch them, they'll drag a brake a little bit and just ease them behind somebody, because there's no need to be running side by side at this point.
There's Larry Caudle in the 77 car that they are putting another lap up. He's now 2 laps down in 26th.
Hey, you know, you got to have a partner. You got to get somebody to go with. Watch the Hobgoods.
Oh, we got a car upside down, rolling here in the tri-oval, and another car spinning.
That's Edward Howell in the 07.
Yes, it is. Or, well, we'll stand by for that.
Oh, I guess it. Oh, it's George Crenshaw. That's right. That's George Crenshaw in the 07.
Boy, the car made contact with the outside wall and began a series of barrel rolls clear down past the entrance to the pit area.
Yes, that's right. George Crenshaw. He and Howell were running team cars. Howell had the 70. I'm sorry.
It is the 07 of George Crenshaw that is involved in the crash, and the ambulances are arriving at the scene. Here's what happened.
There we see him. He's the white car, the 07, behind Amick, and there's Donnie Duchesne. And he comes up and just gets a little bit loose. He goes across the racetrack, makes contact with Duchesne, and now he's going to just start flipping over. He got sideways, just started over and over. Looked like your dad back here in 1988, didn't it, Kyle?
Exactly. And the one good thing about this one, and my father's both wrecks, were that the car, even though the car was rolling, it never took a solid blow. It just continued to roll and dissipate energy as it went.
Let's hope that is the case, that will result in no serious injury to George. But you will count now. The car rolls over 7 times. Parts flying off the car, dissipating the energy, which is really good, because the more energy that's dissipated, the less goes to the driver. And finally, after 7 barrel rolls, the car comes to a stop. Now here it is in real time, just showing you how quickly something like this can happen.
Wow. I'm telling you, it looked just like Richard's crash.
It did. He is out of the car, we understand. He's out of the car. He walked to the ambulance by himself. Wow, that is that is great.
That's amazing. And, you know, I think we talk about it at least once or twice every year. From the Winston Cup division all the way through, the NASCAR safety stuff is just incredible.
It is. Now, this happened moments ago. The safety crew was there, and all of a sudden, we saw him pop out of the car and raise his right hand, saying to the crowd, "I am okay." There he is.
Oh, he's in good shape. Man, oh, man.
Wow, but what a ride he took off of corner number 4. George Crenshaw with a very, very bad-looking crash in the Bad Frog Beer Pontiac. It's heavily damaged, but George is okay. There is a very battered race car that is being loaded onto the rollback here at Daytona after George Crenshaw took the ride of his life coming off of corner number 4. He is okay. That's why we're going to show it to you again.
There he is, the white car on the outside of Donnie Duchesne. They come off, and they almost make contact. He has to go up, and when he has to go up, he swerves. He loses control. He comes back, makes contact with Donnie again, and now here's where he really loses it. He gets around the left side, and the car just, boom, over it goes. We see the roof flap come over, but at the last instant, and the roof flap is not designed to work for the left side turning over, is it, Kyle?
No. You can see the orange car to the right. The roof flap's doing exactly what it's supposed to be doing. As the car turns around backwards, the roof flap comes up and keeps the car on the ground. This thing went nose over tail. It went first, nose went in, then the tail came over it like that. And we don't have anything designed on these cars to keep something like this from happening.
Just like on a dirt track, when you get the car sideways and the side tires bite, causing the flip, that's exactly what happened here. Bill?
Bob, it was Jimmy Foster's wreck and this race 1 year ago that was the final straw for the NASCAR officials in the Goody Dash Series. They thought about roof flaps on these cars for a long time, but it was that crash at this race last year that's prompted them to tell these teams, we will race with these next year. They cost $700 to put them in. No installation, of course, but they're worth every penny.
Absolutely.
You can't pay too much for safety equipment.
No. So back to the old saying, you got a $2 head, wear a $2 helmet.
Yeah.
So that's the way it works, man. You got to pay whatever it costs to keep these things on the ground. And, you know, and that's a good example. You know, when my father had the wreck here, he all but got up in the grandstands because of the stuff. At least the car stays out in the middle of the racetrack, away from the fans and away from the other stuff.
Now, there is Donnie Duchesne, and you see the mark there on the side of his car. That was where there was contact between him and Crenshaw. He's having the damage to his car assessed, and maybe we'll be able to get back into the race. But again, the good news, George Crenshaw walked to the ambulance and saluted the crowd. He's okay. Well, here is another significant development in our race. That is Will Hopgood on the back of a wrecker.
And there's some damage to the nose of the car, the underside of the nose, isn't it, Kyle?
Yeah, it looks like he's spun around and spun down off the bank or done something. That's most of the time when you have damage to the nose of the car like that, as bad as this looks, it looks like it just got down there and just ground it off.
So Will Hopgood is out of competition after running up front all race long. 68 laps has been completed here at Daytona, and we have 12 more to go. Let's go to Bill Weber, who's with Will.
Will Hopgood, back from the missing. What happened out there?
I hit something, Bill, or something. I don't know. The car just took a hard left, and it run off in the bank and then bent the nose up. I think we're out of it. It busted the oil cooler off and done a lot of damage underneath.
You don't know what happened?
No, I don't really know what happened. I didn't see anything, but I don't know. I didn't know.
Run over something, knocked the oil cooler all off. Run over something.
Coming, Bill, I'm sure.
Bad deal. The Wins All Pontiac was running real good today. I don't know if we had the strongest car, but if we got hooked up with the right people, we could go to the front. You know, these cars are so equal, and I felt like we had a good chance at it. But we'll take it and go back to the next race.
And obviously a tough day because that miscue on pit road also caught you.
Yeah, it did. Jake missed his pitch, you know, and we run in there, and it cost us a little bit of time, but we still beat the other guys out, and they come in on the green, and I thought the boys in the pit's done a real good job, and we'll go back and better it next time.
You said Jake was here to learn today. Can he win today?
Yes, he's got a good car. He was right on me, and I think he was pedaling behind me, so he's got a good shot at it if he just uses his head.
All right, thanks for stopping, Will.
Thank you.
There was so much debris on the front stretch. When something like that happens, like happened to Crenshaw, there's so much debris. If you run over some piece you don't even see, it'll come up and knock off oil lines, shock absorbers. When Richard crashed in 1988, I ran over something I didn't see and knocked the right front shock off the car. So that's probably what happened to Will Hopgood here.
And it doesn't even have to happen when the wreck itself happens. You go around the racetrack, come back around, it's under caution. They've not cleaned up a place yet. You're one of the first or second cars to it, which he would have been because he was up with the leaders, and you catch something and tear a line or like Vinny says, just rip something off the car.
Going green in one more lap, and when they get the green, we'll have 10 more laps to go. It'll be a dash to the cash here at Daytona. Stay with us. Just about to go green here in Daytona at 7 o'clock tonight. John Kernan will host RPM tonight live from here at the racetrack. John Andretti, a special guest, also Elliott Sadler, and the story about how Earnhardt is getting one more shot. John Andretti is a definite potential winner of the Daytona 500 in drafting practice this morning. His car was a rocket ship. Here we go, back to green.
Mike Swain, pole sitter, brings it down. Oh, we got some trouble already.
David Amy crashes, and several others bang into each other as they proceed down the racetrack. Not a serious situation, but it is a big mess and a lot of debris.
That's John Redmond there in the 45 car we saw, and the 63 car is sitting up against the wall, the black car of Paul Carr.
Andy Houston is also involved in the 30 car.
Looks like the 92 car of Eric Wilson, the gold and black car.
Well, this thing is going to have very few green laps with which to settle who is the winner.
And those two cars are hooked up and can't get unhooked.
Yep. Let's see what happened here as the green was coming out.
There we see David Amick. He's behind Darrell Murray. Amick is the blue car, followed by the black car. And all of a sudden, the black car just runs into, I don't know if David Amick, it looks like something happened to Amick's car, because the 63 car of Carr just runs right in the back of him.
Several were able to get through, although some of those who did get through without hitting any body ran over debris.
Yes.
From the Bud 1 airship, who just became operable because of high winds earlier. Here it is from the overhead perspective.
There we see right in the middle of the screen. All of a sudden, Amick just, like something happened to the car. The 63 ran in the back of him, and then there's just no place to go. The racetrack is blocked, and if you got through that, you were lucky.
Yep.
Very fortunate, very blessed. Amick, you know, he was right there with him, and I don't know if he missed a shift or if something happened or if something broke on his car. Right after 63, just got a really good jump and got in the back of him. It could have been a multitude of things.
That's Paul Carr, who has just jumped out of his car, number 63. He's okay, obviously.
Looks like Andy Houston walking across there.
This was not an accident that would cause injury. They weren't going that fast. Jerry?
Well, Junior Miller has climbed out of what's left of his car. Junior, what happened?
I don't really know. It all happened in front of me, and they started turning right and left, and just got into the fence up there, and they wasn't nowhere to go. Just tore it up.
You obviously have nowhere to go. The car pretty heavily damaged. Even on the restarts, things can happen in a hurry.
Yeah, it's unreal. You think you're not going that fast, but once you get turned around, getting that fence, it takes a long ways to stop.
All right, Junior, we'll let you go back. The safety crew wants to check you out, so we'll let you walk back toward the care center. Guys, remember, even under caution, they are running 70 miles an hour. So as they come down and take the flag, they're approaching 100 miles an hour. It may look slow to you, but that's what can happen if someone gets out of shape.
I believe Kyle hit it on the head. I think David missed a shift going from second to third.
These 5 cars involved in the crash: Carr, Houston, Wilson, Miller, and Redmond. And besides the cars, there is a lot of debris, and this is going to take a little bit of time to clean up here.
I sure hope we don't run out. No, I think we'll be able to throw the green flag before we.
Yeah, I think so too. They're about to come down to complete lap number 72. That gives us 8 laps to go, but within maybe 2 or 3, they should have this incident cleared up. This is what happened as they came down to take the green flag for the restart. 5 cars involved in an accident. A lot of damage, but everybody is okay. Behind and east of us here in the Winston Tower is Daytona, USA. They call it the ultimate motorsports attraction. It's near the main gates of Daytona International Speedway. And just look here for the next few seconds about all the things that you can do and see when you buy a ticket to visit Daytona, USA. You can even be a member of a pit crew and change some tires. That's Daytona, USA, the ultimate motorsports attraction near the main gates of Daytona International Speedway. And there it is from the Bud 1 airship that is flying high overhead of Daytona. It wasn't in the air a few minutes ago because we had high winds, but now the Bud 1 airship is able to provide us these overhead shots. They're flying about 1,000 feet above the Daytona International Speedway.
I think I know what happened on that crash.
Okay, what?
You know, we watch Amick. I think he runs up on the back of Murray, the 52 car in front of him. Amick is right in the middle of the screen. I think he runs up on the back of him, and then he backs off. See, right there, I think he closes up so quick that he backs off to avoid hitting him. When he backs off, the black car runs in the back of him. I think is what happened.
I think you're exactly right. That's exactly what it looks like. He gets a jump and jumps up at him, and then as soon as he backs out of it, he's in the middle of it.
Yeah.
Here's Jerry Punch.
Well, let's find out from Lyndon Amick what may have happened. Lyndon, what did David tell you happened in the accident out there?
They started checking up, and somebody got in the back of him and sent him in the wall. So, you know, I don't really know exactly what happened, but I think, you know, when he checked up, people got in the back of him, and that's the way racing goes. He was a lap down, so it kind of hurt us.
How bad's the car hurt? You pulled most of the front sheet metal off a moment ago during the pit stop.
I think the radiator's broken, so we'll have to work on that a little bit, and the toe is definitely knocked out, of course, you know, but we're just going to limp around here and finish this race.
All right, that's Lyndon Amick, who won it a year ago, hoping his brother would win it and make it an Amick sweep 2 years in a row, but not going to happen.
There are 6.5 laps to go. The field is over on the backstretch under caution. They have not received the 1 lap to go signal yet. They might when they come down this time. It looks as if most of the debris, if not all of it, has been picked up from the tri-oval area. Take a look at some of the drivers who have moved on to other series from the NASCAR Goodies Dash Series, including NASCAR Winston Cup drivers Hut Strickland and Michael Waltrip and Phil Parsons and Larry Pearson. Johnny Chapman also included in the group. David Hutto moves to Busch Grand National. Rob Moroso, of course, a former Rookie of the Year.
They don't even have, oh, there's another page. I thought Lyndon Amick.
Billy Standridge, Shauna Robinson, Robert Presley, Ed Barrier, and Jimmy Foster. Each of those drivers with at least 1 win in Goodies Dash competition. This is the onboard camera from Shane Jenkins, and obviously his car is having a problem also.
Yep, they pushed him off the track. I guess that's back in turn.
No, it's down in turn number 1, I believe.
Turn 1, yes, they pushed him into the trial, into the road course, and will not bring him back to the pit area just now because they need to get the race back going again, and the signal is being given by the flagman. 1 to go.
6 to go right now, so when they come down, it'll be 5 laps to the shootout. And let's hope we can get those 5 laps under green so we can see some real competition to the green flag. It's been a tremendously exciting and competitive race. And hopefully we can see more of that in the closing 5 laps. We do have additional coverage tomorrow as we wrap up things here at Daytona. It's the most exciting hour of the whole month. The happy hour, 4:30 Eastern Time program here on ESPN. Before they go green, and then at 5:30. And on Sunday, RPM Today will start it all off at 11 o'clock, and then NASCAR Today at 11:30. The final word on what's happening here at the World Center of Speed before the green flag drops on the Daytona 500.
Kyle, the 10-lap rule is in effect. What does that mean?
Benny, I'm going to be honest with you and tell you, sometimes I don't have a clue. I still don't understand the 25 lap. The 10 lap rule is all the cars that are in the lead lap move to the front of the line, and they're in line. There are no lap cars. The cars that are, the lead lap cars are there to win the race. They're the last guys that are in position to win it. So there will be no double file restart. It's a single file restart. All the lead lap cars will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it gives every man the best shot at trying to do something.
Who talks you through that when you get confused about, they say, okay, Kyle, on the radio, they'll tell you when the race is going on, okay, it's a 25 lap rule. And what do you say? I don't know what you're talking about. And then they tell you, right?
They try to tell me.
Who tells you?
My crew chief tries to tell me. Most of the time he just says, do whatever the car in front of you does. That way if we're in trouble, they're in trouble too. Everybody's in trouble.
It's not rocket science, is it?
Not for the drivers. Obviously, you hadn't talked to any of them lately.
Well, we're just about ready to go green. This is turns 3 and 4.
Pace car has the field in tow, but soon it'll be off, and we'll go back to racing at the completion of lap number 75 and the start of lap 76.
All right, we got Mike Swain leading the race. We got Brian Sockwell, the blue car, in second. Christian Elder is third. Jake Hopgood is fourth. Robert Huffman is fifth, and Darrell Murray is sixth. There he is, the blue car. Ned Combs is seventh. Ned Combs started 41st and has worked his way up to 7th spot.
8th is Gary Moore. 9th is Donnie Neuenberger. And 10th is Donald Duchesne. Donnie Duchesne, as the green comes out, here we go for the last 5 laps. They get these 4-cylinder engines revved up here as they head for the 31 degrees of banking in turn 1. Looks like the first 3 cars may be pulling away. In fact, Swain got a good jump here as they enter the backstretch, and a smoker.
Looks like the engine's gone on the white car. I can't tell what number it is. Is it 89?
I believe it is. Or 99. Could be Gary Moore. That would be Gary Moore, who was in 8th position. So a possible top 10 finish goes down the drain for Gary Moore. Here they come into the east banking of the Speedway. There are the first 5 cars hooked up in the draft. Actually, there's a 6th car in there also, and here they come. Mike Swain is the leader of the race. Mike Swain Jr. Then Sockwell, Christian, Huffman, Hopgood, and Murray.
There we go.
There's fanning out.
54 car. Sockwell goes to the outside. Can anyone go with him? The 21 decides to go with him. Huffman, meanwhile, dives down to the inside. Now all 6 cars 2 by 2.
Look at this. 3.5 laps to go. Murray still looks like he's got a strong car there, the 52 blue car.
He wants to make it 3 abreast, but he can't find room up there.
And that outside line is going around those to the inside.
Christian Elder, did he push? Looked like he was pushing Sockwell in the 54 car.
Brian Sockwell has the lead with Christian Elder running second. The battle here is for third. That's Swain Jr. on the low side and Murray up top with Huffman and Hopgood looking on.
And once again, you get 2 abreast and you slow down so dramatically.
These guys have got to get back in line if there's any hope of catching the top 2 cars.
This is really helping the first 2 cars. The longer they continue to run like this, you can see it's not as much as it is with some of the other guys, but it's still a car length or 2 a lap, and that's all it's going to take when it gets down to below 2 laps to go.
Now Huffman looking to the inside of Swain, thinking about making it 3 wide, but he cannot. But boy, those cars got their left side wheels on the wrong side of that white line.
try to stay to the right side of that white line, especially when you get to turn 3, because that's it. You're in the flat down there.
Boy, look at them dancing, almost get together.
2 laps to go, 2 more circuits.
And Hutton's he wants to make it 3 abreast, and he does. Whoa! He's got Jake Hopgood up there helping him, and they're still trying to go 3 abreast.
Yeah, but again, as long as they stay side by side, there is no challenge for the lead. Up front, it is still Brian Sockwell and Christian Elder.
It's amazing. They started this race 78 laps ago, and they ran like this for the first 5 laps, and here we are down at the end of the same thing.
Scott Weaver is smoking. Let's see. He was a few laps down. Yeah, he was 1 lap down in 14th. Things have gone wrong for him here in the closing stages. The white flag is coming out. 1 more lap to go as they race off the banking and into the tri-oval. It's still Brian Sockwell leading and Christian Elder second, and the battle rages on for 3rd.
I think these first 2 have pretty much got it in hand right now on the last lap. It's going to be, I'm not going to say impossible, because this is racing. It's impossible in racing. They could catch him, but it's very unlikely.
Yeah, it's too bad that those guys had to pull side by side and battle each other for the lead. If they'd have stayed in line, we might have had a 6-car freight train for the finish. As it appears, it's going to be 2 cars up front fighting for the lead and everybody else back for 3rd spot. The question is, can Elder make any kind of a move on Sockwell here in the final corner? It doesn't appear so. There's about a car length and a half difference between 1st and 2nd. The battle for 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th comes to the line. Here they come off the corner. It looks like Brian Sockwell is going to win the Discount Auto Parts 200, and Christian Elder is second. I have no idea who finished 3rd.
I think Daryl Murray beat him.
I think the 52 was 3rd, right in there.
It was close.
So Brian Sockwell, this is for you. That's his number on his Legends car, for you.
The Cleaver Brooks Pontiac drives to victory lane at Daytona, and it is his first career NASCAR Goodies Dash victory.
Cleaver Brooks make big boilers for industrial applications. And they are in victory circle at Daytona International Speedway. Is this kid pumped, Kyle, or what?
He's pumped. I'm going to tell you, that whole crowd is pumped. I got a couple of guys that work for me that are over on the backstretch spotting for him. Billy Roach is spotting for him today, so I know they're all pumped on it.
The 1994 Legends National Champion heads for victory lane. Here's Bill Weber.
Okay, first of all, we've been told by track officials that George Crenshaw, still in the infield care center, is okay. He is uninjured. They are simply waiting, if you can believe this easily, for his pulse to go down. Meanwhile, Paul Carr is here and Andy Houston. What happened out there?
It looked like on the restart there, somebody missed a gear, and somebody hit me from the back, and I had it under control. I hit the gas, but then 2 cars just came and sandwiched me.
Andy, you started at the back, had a good run going. You got caught up in it as well.
Yeah, we did. Had a real good car. You know, started 42nd and got up to, I think they said we were running 10th, but same deal as what Paul said. Car up there missed the gear, you know, and it just bottlenecked everything. A couple cars got together in front of me, and I got on the brakes trying to miss. Somebody got in the back of me, and just a chain reaction deal. But tough day after fighting so hard and coming on up through there.
Okay, glad you guys are okay. Hey, Brian Sockwell's going to victory lane. Last night, his crew left him at the racetrack. They couldn't find him. They went back to the hotel, but he had the room key. So they had to come back, found him sitting outside the garage area, and took him back to the hotel. Now he's taking them to victory lane.
There are the unofficial results. 11 cars finished on the lead lap when the checkered flag fell. We are running just a little bit over 1 o'clock Eastern time, but we got to talk with this guy in victory lane. So Shop Talk, which was scheduled up at 1 o'clock, will follow us, and you will see it in its entirety. He stops for his crew to offer congratulations. He's still a bit of a distance away from victory lane, but this was an outstanding race here this morning, this afternoon.
And the officials are telling him, come on down there. But again, Brian Sockwell, this is his first Dash win. After he's won his 12th or 15th, he probably will just drive on to victory lane. There's Christian Elder, who finished second, sitting there.
He had a great run from the 21st starting position, second fastest qualifier, the second day fastest qualifier. Don't forget RPM tonight at 7 o'clock Eastern Time. John Kernan has John Andretti and Elliott Sadler with him, and the story of how Dale Earnhardt is getting one more shot at winning the big one.
And Cal, that Elliott Sadler's car continues to run well in the NASCAR Busch Grand National Division, doesn't it?
It's incredible. We were drafting yesterday in practice, and he weaved his way through a pack of about 6 or 7 cars and then broke the draft from us, so it'll be tough tomorrow.
Down to victory lane and Jerry Punch.
Before the race, Brian Sockwell told me the most frightening part of the whole week was not the practice or qualifying, but having to talk to us on qualifying day. He said, microphones scare me to death. He said, I promise you, Doc, if we talk again, I'll be better. Hey, Brian, guess what, man? We're going to talk again. Congratulations.
I can't believe this. Oh, man, can you believe it? I used to dream about even coming down here and riding in a minivan. It's been so long. I've been wanting to do this. It's my daddy's dream. It's my dream. I'd like to thank Cleaverbrook, Carey Communications with Bray Carey, CC Boiler, Goody's Dash, Goody's, Unical. Oh, I love all of them. Couldn't have done it without them. ESPN. I can't wait to watch it on TV.
Come on out of the car. We'll let you get out of the car and celebrate, and we'll chat with you and get a deep breath there. This is Brian Sockwell's very first ever Goody's Dash win, and it comes at Daytona. Hey, Brian, we got a guy in the booth by the name of Kyle Petty who did the same thing years ago. His first win came at Daytona, and his career took off. You just got to be tickled. This has got to be a dream come true.
I don't even know if I dream it, really.
Great job, buddy.
That's awesome.
Great job.
Finish line racing at school. I love it. Right here. He helped me out right here. Pep talks. Went to a school down here in Volusia. And I'm shaking now.
Well, he is from Brown Summit, North Carolina, and I guarantee you they're going to call it Blown Summit right now because his dad's bowling alley. They got to be celebrating up there, watching it on ESPN as Brian Sockwell has won the 19th annual Discount Auto Parts 200. Bob?
There comes a time when your emotions just take over and you can't say anything, and that's the way it is with Brian.
I mean, was that priceless or what?
That was incredible, and he said it all by not saying anything.
Exactly, Kyle. All right, tomorrow on ESPN, happy hour at 4:30. And every time we go to a Winston Cup race this year, we'll televise happy hour. Before They Go Green is on at 5:30 Eastern. Then Sunday, RPM Today at 11 o'clock. And NASCAR Today at 11:30 as we wrap up our coverage here at Daytona. Coming up next, Shop Talk. Seen in its entirety, and the special guest is Darrell Waltrip. Thanks to Kyle Petty, Benny Parsons, Jerry Punch, and Bill Weber. And thank you for joining us. This is Bob Jenkins from Daytona International Speedway. And this has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports.